Alrighty guys, we finally got a Bonneville on the channel. Let's see what it's all about. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Beginner Bike Giveaway series. If you saw the title of the video, you know what's going down today. It's the first impression ride of this, the Triumph Street Scrambler. First of all, let's bask in it. Let's bathe in the beauty of this bike. What a handsome little motorcycle. It looks very cool, all retro over here. I'm extremely excited to ride this motorcycle. I'm going to talk you through the specs here in a little bit. But before we get started, just wanted to shout out that this is one of our beginner bike giveaway bikes. This is one of three. We have a CBR 500R, this motorcycle, and a Z650 up for grabs. Hit the link down below, go to yamanube.co and check out how you can get entered to win this motorcycle for free. And let me tell you, I would be thrilled, over the moon, to win one of these motorcycles. It's very, very cool. So make sure you hit that link, sign up, get started, get access to our Discord server, and all kinds of cool stuff. So guys, I did take some notes on this motorcycle so I wouldn't mess up any of the specs, because we want to keep the spec sheet warriors happy. And there's a lot to talk about this bike. So first of all, let's go over what Triumph says this motorcycle is. They say it is born for freedom and fun. The Street Scrambler is an authentic, modern, classic scrambler, combining urban elegance with rugged, off-road focused attitude. Have they succeeded? Well, we're going to find out today if those words are true. So the important thing you got to know is this is what's known as a standard motorcycle. This is not a naked bike. Well, sort of by definition, it's a naked bike because there's no fairings. It's not a sports bike. It's not exactly a sports naked. This is something altogether different. Motorcycles like the Triumph Scrambler, the Ducati Scrambler, even stuff like the Sportster, you know, even though it's a cruiser, these are more of these heritage kind of focused models. They're very different than the traditional motorcycles we've come to know and expect on the Yamanube channel. But as many of you know, I actually own a Scrambler model myself. I have the Ducati Scrambler Desert Sled, which one day definitely got to pit it against this thing, which is quite different. However, let's continue on down over here. This features a 900cc 270-degree twin. It has a two-cylinder P-twin right here. Makes 65 horsepower and 59 foot-pounds of torque. So it's a very torque-first kind of engine. It doesn't rev all the way out to the moon or anything like that. It's a very juicy, meaty kind of power band on this thing. It's got a 5-speed gearbox, which is a little bit different than what we're used to seeing on here. So kind of similar to that, you know, heritage line of bike. As you'll notice, the chain is on the opposite side of normal motorcycles. So there's a kind of funky stuff going on with this bike. It features a 19-inch front end and a 17-inch rear end, so more of that off-roady kind of stuff. It's got these cool little fork gaiters right here. A plastic skid guard, which is kind of a bummer, but it is what it is. Features a 310mm Brembo up front, which is very cool. We got this big disc up here, very similar to my Scrambler, actually. As you can tell, it is a tube frame, so this bike is very different and the new crop of sport bikes that have cool trellis frames and all that. This is very old school, big tube frame cradling the engine in place here. Very different than what we see on the Z650, for example, where the engine is a stressed member of the frame. This is super, super different and very old school. Also, guys, do you like how we have like very drizzly, rainy weather on this British bike? I feel like it's so at home. Up front, we have this very cool dash. It has a old school sweeping analog speedometer, which I very much enjoy. It's got a couple different features in here. It has 3 rider modes, which is kind of cool. It has a wet mode or a rain mode, which kind of reduces your throttle inputs a little bit. It has road mode, which gives you standard stuff, and then off-road mode, which I very much enjoy. That's going to take out traction control, take out rear ABS, and let you slide the rear around, have some fun with this bike off-road, which was a little bit intended for what it's meant to do, which is kind of crazy. Up front, we have 41mm non-adjustable cartridge-style forks, with the forks actually been upgraded and revised for this new 2020 model. We have dual shocks at the rear over here, which is, you know, kind of a feature that you don't see a lot on modern sport bikes or naked bikes or stuff like that, but the dual shock is very popular in this kind of heritage line of bikes. Features a 31.1-inch seat height, which I think is very, very cool, very approachable for the new rider, which I do think this thing is new rider appropriate. Because I say that stuff like the SSR 700, SV650, those kinds of bikes are new rider appropriate. And this is actually much more docile than those motorcycles. Triumph claims a dry weight of 447 pounds. So you're looking at close to 500 pounds wet and ready to ride. And this thing is going to cost $11,000 on the showroom floor. So let's swing a leg over it and get it on the road. Enough jibber jabber. Let's give the first impressions of it. So the first thing I noticed when I swing a leg over this machine is it's very comfortable, you know? Ergonomics wise, I got these big wide bars here, very commanding stance, comfortable seat, good ergonomics. My foot is in a nice place right here, very low and comfortable on this motorcycle. This is a bike that I could easily do 4-hour ride on, no problem. So let's start it up and hear how she sounds. Again, as I mentioned, this is a 270-degree parallel twin, 900 cc's, not a screamer of an engine, but very meaty torque first. So it sounds awesome. All right, let's get her on the road and see how she does. So we're going to do a bit of a different route today because this is a bit of a different bike. I think it doesn't make much sense to do our normal big highway test on it and everything else. So we're going to switch it up a little bit today, hit a little bit of a scrambly bit with it and see how it performs there. And we're going to go through the hills here a little bit and hit the twisties, because as soon as you take off on this thing, if you've ridden other motorcycles, you'll realize how laid back this thing is, man. It's a cruiser in everything except its name. It's a super laid back motorcycle, very easy, very intuitive to ride. So far, I love the clutch feel, like the brake feel. Feels like a really, really solid machine, you know? Let's get it up here to highway speeds. No problem getting up to speed there. 55, nice and easy. Now, we've got a bit of a drizzle going on today, and this bike is equipped with these semi-knobs. So we're going to take it nice and easy with this thing. Nice and simple. And already I can tell you guys, you know, since this is more of a heritage-based motorcycle, I like thinking about, you know, how does it feel against a Scrambler? How does it feel against a Sportster? This thing feels great right now, honestly. I haven't really gotten it too far out yet. I did ride out to our initial spot there, and we're testing it out right here. But, I mean, I really like the throttle feel, the brake, and the clutch feel. I mean, it's thoroughly modern. You guys know that the first thing I like to test on my first impression rides is throttle and brakes. I think how the throttle feel and how the front brake feels is very, very important when it comes to riding a motorcycle. And I'm very surprised with this thing. I really like the way the throttle feels. It's a ride-by-wire system, so, you know, you're not getting some super nice cable actuated throttle, but I think it's really progressive and really intuitive to understand. This motorcycle so far, to me, you know, everything about it just is the ease of the rider. It's like they built everything around making it really, really easy to ride and understand, which I really appreciate, because that pays dividends beyond just the beginner rider. It makes the experienced rider jump on this thing and feel like they've been riding it for years and years. And this is literally my first time riding this bike, and I'm already so comfortable with it. I really enjoy it. All right, guys, so this is a Scrambler. We are going to pull off here and attack a scrambly bit of trail. Let's give it a shot, shall we? Now, this isn't a hardcore off-road machine, but it's designed to tackle stuff like this, so let's see. I'm definitely noticing the weight so far. Get it up in a second here. But it's, you know what, it's doing it, and it's pretty happy doing it. I think these motorcycles can really trundle along these kinds of roads, no problem. Even as we get to more looser stuff up here. The only thing you got to watch for when you're taking these kinds of bikes off-road is the ground clearance, you know? This bike does have a lot lower ground clearance than something like my Desert Sled, but, you know, climbing up these rocks here, it'll do it. No problem at all. You can sort of ride it like a dirt bike, but, you know. Where these bikes really start to kind of fall apart for me off-road is their weight. You know, unfortunately, because, you know, this thing weighs damn near 500 pounds. It's a bit of a big pig, you know? Bit of a big pig. Let's put it in off-road mode. So now I got rear ABS off, traction control off, and let's go slide that rear around a little bit, shall we? I'm gonna check if the foot brake is adjustable here. I want to make sure that it is. But yeah, I find the standing position on this bike to be very comfortable. It looks like it's handling these bumps really, really well, you know? It's non-adjustable suspension, but, you know, it feels really good. Yeah, man, it'll do it. It's gravel road approved, that's for sure. That's awesome. You can definitely have some fun with this bike, man. Really versatile bike. You know, I definitely thought it was a lot of marketing mumbo jumbo when I first ordered it, but no, it'll do it. That's cool. All right, heading back on the road here. Let's switch our mode. Back to road mode here on the fly switch. On the left switch cluster. That is very cool. We love that. Good highway power. I really like this bike, man. So 5-speed gearbox. What a weird thing, right? Well, again, heritage model motorcycle, dual shocks, you know, all this stuff. It's a very unique bike in that way, you know. I think 5th gear works really well for these kind of big, long highway miles. And I'm not really missing a 6th gear, honestly, because the engine produces so much torque. I feel like no matter what gear I'm in, it'll just get the job done. Front brake feel is really nice. It's hard to, you know, mess up a Brembo with the, you know, right little reservoir cover. Again, guys, this is an $11,000 motorcycle. We're dealing with components here that, you know, you're just not going to find stuff like this in the 650 class and the 300 class. This is a real deal motorcycle, and it definitely feels like it, and it's really, really awesome. I'll wipe you guys down a little bit. One thing that, again, is surprising me so much is how comfortable and familiar this bike feels to me. I feel like I've been riding it for years and years. I jump on it and it's immediately familiar to me. And one thing that I like too, I've owned many, many different Triumphs, and we had a Street Triple in the shop earlier this year that we gave away. You know, this switch clusters here, these are Bonneville specific. These aren't shared through the Street Triple and the other Triumph motorcycles. This is definitely bespoke to this bike, which is really quite cool. Scrambler bikes like this are really awesome if you want to do big long miles in the saddle. You want something modern, you want something comfortable, you want something that looks really cool. You're not into the whole, you know, Japanese sport bike crazy fast boy thing. You want a more elegant, a more, you know, refined motorcycling experience. These bikes have it in spades, man. These things are so cool. It's a big reason why I got my own desert sled, because that bike's a little bit more off-road capable and kind of fun party time as opposed to this thing. But man, it's like an urban kind of bop around town sort of bike. You know, I just can't believe how good this bike feels to ride. I didn't think it would feel so good. I thought it was going to be a bit of a marketing exercise and a heritage model, and, you know, it's going to be all flash, no substance, but I'm really enjoying my time in the saddle on this bike so far. The engine delivers very rewarding power. It's got this very velvety mid-range and low-end grunt. I'm here in 4th gear, nearly top gear on this motorcycle. I want to change over lanes here, and I just really lurches forward. It's really great. And I think a lot of people see this bike and they think, oh, 900 cc's, that can't be a good beginner bike. But again, I think for the American marketplace, and for a rider who's a little bit older and has the disposable income to purchase something that costs $11,000, this is a great bike. This is really actually a lot more docile than your SV650s, your MT-07s. This motorcycle is really quite friendly. I really like that about this thing, man. It's just a friendly bike to ride. I think sometimes we get lost in the whole marketing of stuff, and we're just like, oh, you know, the Bonneville, you know, these kind of retro models, they're for hipsters who don't know anything about motorcycles. But I mean, I'm not a hipster, and I've been riding for a long time, and I really like being on this thing, man. It feels great. The components feel really nice to me. Like I said, I like these big wide bars. It feels like a very cool motorcycle to me, and it's something that I would really enjoy spending time with. Even on a day like this, like, I normally wouldn't want to ride if it's, you know, kind of wet outside, a little chilly, but this is a bike that really inspires you to jump on and ride, and that's what we all want out of motorcycles, right? We want a bike that elicits us to put the key in the ignition, turn it over, and get it started and swing a leg, right? That's what we want out of our motorcycles, and this bike has that in spades. There is a very adequate level of engine heat coming out of this engine. It's not too bad. It definitely could be worse. My legs are a little bit warm. You got these high pipes right here, but my Ducati Scrambler is a lot more hot than this thing. I mean, this bike is liquid cooled, so it's going to do the job just fine. Let me show you some slow speed stuff on this bike. This is a really different kind of first impression ride, but I just want to show you how easy it is to whip this thing around, you know? You go over here. I mean, it weighs damn near 500 pounds, but they've designed it in such a way that it's just so easy to ride this thing, dude. I really, really like this bike. You know, you hate to say it, but I really think that if you're thinking about getting a Harley, man, check out the Bonnevilles, because I think this is what a lot of people look for when they're thinking about the kind of Harley bikes, except this to me is a motorcycle that is still capable. You know, you look at the 883, you look at the 1200 Sportster, and on paper you might think, oh, that's a great, you know, classic motorcycle, blah blah blah, and you might think you want that. You might think you want that classic bike type of thing. You might think that you want some 1970s CB350 or something, but what you want is this. This is what you want. This bike rules. This has all the flavor and all the panache of a classic bike, but it actually performs. It's got good ground clearance. It's got these big wide bars. I'm hustling around through here and it feels like a normal motorcycle. You know, it feels like a proper kind of sporty bike. Is it a sports bike? No, it's not a sports bike, but for street riding, where I'm at nowadays in my life, I like stuff like this, you know? It's why I like my Desert Sled. My Desert Sled's a little bit more motardy and party town than this thing, but this is still a really phenomenal bike. I'm surprised. You know, you can hit little speed bumps like that with it. Let's take this one in second gear and just blip it over it, right? It's still really playful, you know? And I like the fact that, you know, if you want to take this thing down a forest road, if you want to take it on a camping trip, oh my God, you could totally do that with this machine. This bike would have no problem at all getting down a little gravel trail or a dirt road to your favorite campsite. This is a bike that it could really be taken on an adventure, you know? Speaking of which, look at that glorious view of Austin, baby. This is why I took you guys here. I wanted you to see that view right there. I'm genuinely impressed of the suspension's compliance as well. You know, it's got these 41 mil forks that are non-adjustable. Yeah, you're gonna think, oh man, it's gonna be budget, it's gonna suck. This road right here, we took it the other day. We were doing a test video, and I was surprised that the bikes we were on that day, they're relatively sporty. They were really having trouble with this road, and you know, going here on the Bonneville, it really just soaks it up, you know? Is it dual sports level of soaking it up? Not exactly, but it's really handling these bumps extraordinarily well. This bike is set up super nicely, man. The throttle blips feel good. I like how big the rear brake is on it. Hope you guys don't think I'm simping for this bike too hard, but I do like it a lot. So let's think of some downsides to this thing. Well, you know, it's not a real performer. If you are looking for the feeling of a fast bike, you know, something sporty, something like that, you should probably look elsewhere. This motorcycle doesn't really deliver on anything sport-oriented, in my opinion, but that's okay, because, I mean, I think if you're looking at Bonneville, I don't really think you care about sportiness. Honest to God, so far, I have literally zero complaints about this machine. It's incredibly intuitive to ride, it's easy to ride, and I'm having a lot of fun riding it. That's everything I want out of a motorcycle. I want a bike that's fun, I want a bike that's easy to ride, I want a bike that's comfortable, and I'm getting it, you know? I'm getting all that and more with this thing. Yeah, this bike's totally beginner appropriate. Like, does it have low-end grunt? Yes, it does. But the way the throttle's set up, you're not gonna really get yourself in trouble with it, you know? It's kind of difficult to, you know, really give it the beans. It's got this kind of sloped progression to the throttle where it doesn't deliver you max torque when you give it like 10 or 20% throttle, which is really great. It's set up super softly. But yeah, I think if you want the classic bike, man, this is it, dude. Because this is still a good motorcycle. I think the problem I have with a lot of classic bikes and heritage model motorcycles is that they kind of suck, you know? Like a Sportster sucks. That's not a good bike. This is a good motorcycle. It feels modern. It's liquid cooled. It makes good power. It feels nice to ride. The suspension does what it needs to do. The seat is comfortable. I mean, what more could you want? Honestly, what else do you want out of a motorcycle? This is it. This is great. I am so impressed by this Bonneville, man. I'm so impressed by this Street Scrambler. I kind of had low expectations for it, but it's really kind of blowing me away. It's awesome. And again, this is it's raining out. It's a drizzly cold day, and I'm having a blast riding this thing. I like the torque that it has. It makes a cool sound. Yeah, this is great. This is really good. And I got to tackle a little bit of dirt with it. Come on! Are you kidding me? That's awesome. I think the only thing I'd do is put a louder exhaust because I want to hear the pipes more, but damn, Triumph, you knocked it out of the park with this one. This is an awesome motorcycle. Really, really sweet. And I already know the comments that are coming. They'll be like, oh, of course Amy loves it. It's a Triumph and it's a Scrambler. Come on. But I will tell you this. I still prefer my Desert Sled over this thing. As sort of lovely as this bike is to ride, it's not enough party town for me. My sled is so much fun to ride. It's just a little more spicy and zesty. The sled, you really can ride it like a big supermoto. But this thing, man, it's just, oh, it's a lovely, lovely machine. Idles at right about 1,000 RPM. You can tell this isn't a super high performance engine, and that's okay. It's not meant to do that. I think when I review bikes and when I take a look at the bikes for the first time, I like to see what was the bike intended to do, you know? That's why sometimes when you get on a sport bike and the engine isn't satisfying, it gets a bad mark in my opinion. But this motorcycle, it's designed as a street bike, it's designed as a cruiser kind of bike, it's designed to bop around and scramble off-road, and this engine is perfect for that. This is a perfect mating for what it was designed to do. I do like how you get the same grip as you would on the Street Triple and the Daytonas. This is the same Triumph grip they've been using for forever. And I believe it's the same brake lever too. Adjustable as well, which is quite nice. So you can get this further out if you want. I think I'm actually going to get it a little further out. I think if you're not super interested in canyon carving and sport bike stuff, like I said, I don't see why you wouldn't get one of these. This thing rules. If you want the street motorcycle, if you want to cruise around town, you're not super interested in sport bike stuff, this is rad. If you're not interested in track days, this is awesome. And it's a very stylish bike. You know, we were talking about it in the shop, and I think this makes an awesome date night kind of bike, you know? You meet yourself a nice lady or a fella, whatever you're into, you pull up to their house on something like this, tell them to jump on the back, you got this comfy banana seat back here, anybody could jump on this thing and feel comfortable. It's got good torque, looks cool, you know, looks like a real motorcycle. It's intuitive to understand for the rider and for the pillion and for everyone who's looking around you. They're just like, yes, cool bike, you know, awesome motorcycle. I love the low end grunt that this thing has. It feels so nice. Feels like no matter what gear I'm in, I've got power to pass, you know? So the elephant in the room, as I mentioned earlier, is price. There is no doubt in my mind, this is an expensive motorcycle. This thing costs $11,000, and I'm happy to report that, you know, it's a fun experience, and I like this bike for $11,000. Which, you know, I paid a little bit less than that because I got the deal over at Eurocycle. Hit them up with the link below. You could probably get yourself a pretty good deal on a bike too. But yeah, I'm impressed with how it feels for $11,000, but there's no getting around it, you know. If you're looking at just performance benchmarks, you know, for $2,000 more, you can get an MT-10. For $2,000 less, you can get an MT-09. But again, you don't buy one of these bikes because you're trying to go fast. That's not the point of them. You buy them for the heritage, the refinement, the feel of it when you ride. And few bikes that I've ridden this year have given me this feeling. This is such a cool bike. I'm having so much fun on it. I really like it. Just bombing down here on one of my favorite twisty roads in the hill country. You know, I'm just cruising along here. I'm not speeding. I'm not going super fast, and it feels great. Taking in my surroundings a little bit more, and I'm super comfortable while I'm doing it. This ergonomics package is rad on this bike. I like where my feet are, I like where my hands are. I'm very comfortable on this machine. And look, I know it's not for everybody, and I know that some of you want a sport bike for the street, and I get that. I have a race bike myself. I have a competition off-road machine, and I own a Scrambler. I have a Desert Sled. Like, I firmly believe in that N+1 mentality and the idea that you should probably own several motorcycles. One usually isn't enough. But if you want to just own one bike and you want to strictly cruise on the street, you want to tackle some cool camping trips with your buddies, you want to look awesome while you do it, you want to ride this thing every day to work, you totally can. You can slap some luggage on the side of it, some awesome side luggage on it, and do whatever you want. this is a fantastic bike, and what I like about this right here is, you know, unlike the Sportster, unlike a couple other heritage model bikes that I've ridden, this thing still feels like a competent motorcycle. You can actually fling it through some twisties, have some fun with it. This is awesome, and I really like it. Brake feels awesome. This is this is great. This is really, really great. I really hope you guys don't think I'm just simping super hard for this thing, but I really enjoy it. They've made it such a fun bike. It's such a fun bike to ride. Such a fun bike. The other thing that's really cool about the Street Scrambler and the Bonneville platform motorcycles is that they're a modifier's dream, man. Triumph will sell you a ton of accessories for this thing. There's a big aftermarket support for these bikes. I mean, they've been modifying and changing up Bonnevilles for damn near 80 years at this point, I think. Maybe 60 years, I don't know, maybe my math is wrong. People have been modifying Bonnevilles for a long time. They're very modifiable. So if you don't like the way your Scrambler feels, you can change it up. If you want to change up the gas tank, you want to add luggage to it, you want to delete the mirrors, put a cool exhaust, they've got all kinds of stuff. So if you want to tinker with your bike, you can definitely do some cool stuff with the Bonneville, that's for sure. I want to get an off-road mode and do some sweet skiddies. Yeah, let's get an off-road mode. And first gear there. Step on the rear brake here and do some sweet skiddies. Let's see what it does. Yeah, this is rad, dude. This is so fun. Like how loud these dual sports are, these tires. My sled doesn't scream that much. This is great. So yeah, guys, I think that'll wrap up the video for today. I'm gonna keep riding this thing. I might go take it out to a little coffee shop. Maybe it's got a little patio area, post up with it. I don't really want to give this bike away because I really like it, but I definitely am giving it away to share the love and you know, let someone else enjoy it, because I've already got my own Scrambler. I don't need to, but man, this is a cool bike. Catch you guys in the next one. See you later.
Oh, hey, you're still here. I can't believe you made it to the end of the video. Not many people do. Just for you, I have a little treat. Hit this link over here. Check out the next video on the Yamanoob catalog. What's gonna happen in it? I don't really know. Maybe there's a boost in it. Maybe there's some cool wheelies. Maybe there's some fun memes. Probably. Who can say?